Rangava Pranam, Radhe Radhe. Sorry. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Vinobihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham, on this auspicious Ekadashi day. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Rupananda Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Patit Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vinobihari Ju ki jai, Radha Raman Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Srimad Bhakti Ekadashi ki jai. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Gucha, starting with Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Shri Krishna Leela Katale Silaksham Agarya Madhurya Gurashchaitam Varam Marinyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirushan Namam Tridandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Shri Krishna Pada Jagataika Hridi Chaitanya Leela Vrita Sarasaram Narayanam Tam Satatam Prapadye Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namam Vishnupadaya Gaurapreshthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyano Keshavo Yukti Namine Atimartha Charitrayo Shashritanam Chapani Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dalitaya Kripabhaye Krishna Sambandha Vidyano Dharine Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Jvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Viraparine Rupanugam Vibhapo Siddhanto Vantaharine Namo Gaura Kishorai Sakshat Vairagyamurtaye Vikralamvara Sambudhe Padam Jayate Namah Namo Bhakti Vinodai Satchidanandamamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugam Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestam Nirnishtham Sajanapriyam Vaisnava Sarvabhaumashri Jagannatayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jayatam Suratopam Gaur Mama Mandam Bhadergati Vatsarvasvatparambo Joradhamadarmohan Divyadvrindaranya-kalpadrumara Srimad-ratnagara Simhasanastho Shri Shri Radha Srila Govinda Devo Krishnani Sevyamanusmarami Shri Mandra Sarasarambhi Vamshivattatastaha Karshan Venu Swanargo Gopinath Shriyastu Naha Vrindaye Tulasi Devya Priyaya Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavaktai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadharam Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam Anandam Budivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritashvadanam Sarvatmosnapantaram Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Harer Nam Harer Nam Harer Nam Deva Kevalam Kalo Naste Manaste Manaste Gatiranyata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Dandava Pranama Vaishnava Vaishnavis. Unfortunately, Sudevi won't be able to attend today, although she's able to hear everything. She's just got a little bit of a migraine from the weather changes, which is okay. So we will begin with Jaya Jaya Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru. And that is on page 29. And if you don't have a songbook, then Jiva Pavana Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam, he very kindly posts the bhajans in the comment section of the thread. So just go to the latest or most recent post of Jiva Pavana Prabhu and you can follow along with the bhajans. Jayo Jayo Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru. Jayo Jayo Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru. Adbhuto Jago Page 40, Kripa Karo Vaisnava Thakur. Nityananda Prabhu, Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Raya, page 60. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। এমন গৌরাঙ্গ বিনা নাহি আর। Gaurango Vina Nahi Bharemo, Gaurango Vina Nahi Bharemo, Gaurango Vina Nahi Bharemo, Oheno Yogota Habe Ki Hoyeche, Hero Prema Parochar, Oheno Yogota Habe Ki Hoyeche, Hero Prema Parochar, Gaurango Vina Nahi Gaurango Vina Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajana Anukul. I think it's somewhere around 99 or 96, but I could be wrong. 216. Page 216, or if you don't have the songbook, then Jiva Bhavana Prabhu very kindly posts the bhajan in the comment section of the thread. So just scroll to the most recent post by Jiva Bhavana Prabhu and you can follow along. He also has the translations there and sometimes beautiful commentaries. So Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajana Anukul, page 216. Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajanayanu Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajanayanu Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajanayanu Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu Bhajanayanu Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Premalata बंधु संगे जदि तव रंग परिहास. Page 124. 124. Krishna Das used to sing this. Bandhu sange jadi tava ranga parihar. 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 Hare Vamshiteka Amartera Muna Jaya Jaya Madhava Deite, page 343 or 42, I believe. 341. 341, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Deite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare शिवपाल गुरुवर्ग की जय, पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय, प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सचिंदन गौर हरि की जय, राधा बिहारी की जय, गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, भागवती एकादशी की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, गाय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदान्त नारायण नित्यनामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं, यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, Ashtottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. And the same thousands of Dandavat Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, Ashtottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present and future, including all of those who are present with us today, I offer my Dandavat Pranam. So today, for us here in Vrindavan, we are observing Anada Ekadashi. And when the day of Krishna or any pure devotee, any transcendental holy day manifests, it is imperative that we say something about them. Even if we don't know anything, we can at least acknowledge that day, say the name of that personality who has manifested, and say Jai, victory, all glory to them. But on this day of Ekadashi, we've heard so much, and usually I've spoken so much, so I'm just going to speak a little bit on this day, and then we will continue going beyond Vaikuntha. Ekadashi manifested from the form of Krishna, out of Krishna's compassion, hearing the cries, hearing the suffering of those who were burning in hell. Hell is a natural reaction to sin, and it's part of the creation of the Lord. It always has been there. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Some people like to say it's allegory, but anyhow, even if one is just taking birth in any other species of life, if you've ever been to India, you will know that it could be considered hell to be in a different species. How difficult it is. And look at how animals are in the world. When we lived in Fiji, it was so beautiful. It was so amazing. But if we looked more closely, much more closely, you could see that every living entity was food for another. So, For some, they think, oh, it's so beautiful. But for that creature who's being eaten by that other creature, trying to escape but being eaten, he's not thinking it's beautiful. He's experiencing hell. So in one way or another, this is a kind of a reality, an experience for any living creature who's bound in this material world. According to Shastra, Krishna, seeing and hearing the pitiful cries of extreme anguish of those personalities who were trapped in a hellish condition, because he is an ocean of mercy. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu means ocean of mercy. He has this function, this nature, which is an eternal part of himself, which is called compassion. And from that compassion, or from that mercy, a manifestation comes. Because every mood of Krishna has a form. Whether it's visible or not, that's another thing. We know that out of mercy, Krishna manifests in the form of Sri Guru. In the same way, out of mercy and compassion for those who are suffering and burning, and who are crying for mercy, Krishna himself manifested from his own form, Ekadashi. Ekadashi manifests to us once every couple of weeks. Our Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja explained that Ekadashi is more merciful to us than Janmashtami or Ram Nomi or any of the other days, because every 2 weeks she comes and gives us an opportunity. Madhavatiti Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori Krishna Vasati Vasati Bori Parama Adare Bori. Madhavatiti means the days of the Lord. They're very, very favorable, like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, but more merciful is Ekadashi. Direct manifestation from the heart of Krishna to give mercy to those jivas who are trapped in an ocean of separation from him, who are experiencing the burning suffering of material existence. So, Madhavatiti Bhakti Janani. If one simply follows Ekadashi, honors Ekadashi very carefully, in a mood of serving and pleasing Krishna, that this is a non-different manifestation of you. You have manifested in the form of time. I believe it was on Janmashtami, was it, Sudevi?
Yes.
She read this very beautiful statement of Srimati Radhika, praying to time itself. That Krishna manifests for one moment and then disappears. So if I have any prayer, I am praying to time itself. Please stand still. When Krishna manifests, don't move, so that I can have unimpeded darshan. So I'm begging you to remain still, praying to time itself. So Krishna has manifested to us in the form of a period of time. Ekadashi also has a form, but for us, we don't see that form. Just like we can be in Vrindavan, but we don't see the real Vrindavan. We might have a murti of Krishna, but are we seeing the real Krishna? Or are we trying to see through our material eyes? So Ekadashi Devi is also a personality, but Ekadashi has manifested to us also in the form of time. And what is the speciality of this time? Krishna is residing in this period of time. He's residing everywhere, but this is a very specific, concentrated aspect of Krishna. That anything that you do that is favorable for bhakti at this time is multiplied thousands of times. If one is sincere and greedy for Krishna Bhakti Ras, then they will take advantage of anything that is favorable for development of devotion to Krishna. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. First two symptoms of sharanagati or surrender. The first one is accept everything that is favorable for Krishna Bhakti. And the natural effect of that is to avoid everything that is unfavorable. So Ekadashi is one of the most favorable things for increasing one's inclination on the path of bhakti. It means inclination to serve Krishna. By honoring Ekadashi, Krishna has come to us. Krishna has manifested to us in the form of this day. Our Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj said, we should honor Ekadashi just like Krishna. And today I read from Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. He was explaining that what is the purpose of Ekadashi. It's not just about the diet. Yes, we fast from grains. We avoid those things which might be detrimental. But Ekadashi is not just about avoiding the detrimental. Ekadashi is about maximizing the instrumental, the positive. So what should we do on this day? Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathurava, Srimurtir, Shraddhaya Sevan. All of the different processes of bhakti we should increase. We should increase our chanting. We should increase our depth, our endeavor to develop spiritual devotional sentiments, mood, that are in line with the moods of our acharyas, Hari Guru and Vaisnavas. What is in line with the process of bhakti? We should endeavor to go more deeply into all of those spiritual aspects. This is the benefit that Ekadashi gives us. That Ekadashi is actually weakening the material energy somewhat and enabling us to come close to the spiritual energy. So at that time, then if we engage in anything that is favorable for bhakti, when anything is favorable for bhakti, if we take that opportunity, especially on Ekadashi, it is maximized by thousands of times. It says Krishna Vasati. Krishna is residing in those days. You can see it like Krishna is resting in that time period. He's remaining in that special period. Just like Krishna remains in his name and in the Shastra, in his form here, he also remains within this Ekadashi time period. That's why it's called Madhava Titi, the day of Madhava, the day of Krishna. So if we just generally follow Ekadashi, today's Ekadashi day, I should avoid grains and beans, and then go about doing any material activity without proper intention, because Ekadashi is not different from Krishna. Whatever intention we approach Krishna with, he will reciprocate that accordingly. So if we're not approaching Ekadashi in terms of, Ekadashi Devi, you are the mother of devotion. You give birth to bhakti, bhakti janani. Please be merciful to me and awaken devotion in my heart to Krishna. If we don't approach Ekadashi with this kind of mood, or if we don't approach Harinam Prabhu with this kind of mood, or we don't approach Mahaprasad or Thakurji or Vaishnavas with this kind of mood, if we approach Ekadashi, which is non-different from Krishna, for any material motive, and there are many different material benefits you can get by following Ekadashi. It is written there in the Puranas. If you follow this Ekadashi, you will get birth in the heavenly planets and enjoy for hundreds of thousands of years, and then afterward you may get a chance for bhakti. These things are told. If we observe Ekadashi for any other reason, then it will not be considered pure bhakti. It will be considered anya abhilash, any other desire, and karma mishra bhakti. It will be mixed with desire for fruitive results, which will make it not pure bhakti. So as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yeyata mam prapadyante tangstataiva bhajamyaham. As you approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. So if we're just avoiding certain things, but not actually doing things which are favorable for bhakti, not praying for Ekadashi, for Krishna bhakti, and not making any endeavor for bhakti, then what will the result be? It won't be Krishna bhakti ras. It might be some kind of liberation, some kind of gentle progression, but not maximized by thousands of times. But if we truly have greed and we are actually sincere, then anything which comes in our vicinity, which will enable us to move closer to our goal, which is divine loving service to Krishna for his happiness, for his pleasure, for his benefit, without expecting anything for oneself. And even if there's every reason for it to break, not only will it not break, but it should increase more and more. If any opportunity comes, then What is the proof that we actually have desire for that Krishna Bhakti Ras? Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yavikitopi Labhyate Tatra Loyam Apimulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Shukritana Labhyate. If we can purchase, if we can get it anywhere, we must get it without delay. Somehow or other, Krishna Bhakti Ras must come to us. And the root qualification for that, Tatra Loyam Apimulyam Ekalam, is the intense, greedy desire to have it. So what is the proof of intense, greedy desire? Whatever comes into my purview, whatever comes into my vicinity, if that is favorable for increasing my devotion to Krishna, then let me grab onto that. Let me take advantage of that opportunity with everything within my capacity. The Ekadashi gives us that opportunity. That now, oh, thank you. You have come to me again, despite all of my disqualifications, to give me an opportunity to not only develop thousands of times more Krishna Bhakti, but also to eradicate thousands and thousands of things which are unfavorable for Krishna Bhakti. As one is progressing on the path of Bhakti, as one is serving Krishna, automatically millions and millions of lifetimes of sins and everything else which hold us back are eradicated. As Bhakti is manifesting in the heart, naturally all ignorance and everything is running very far away. So on Ekadashi, the reason one fasts is to give us ourselves the opportunity to, instead of trying to satisfy our senses, even through the medium of prasadam, and we all know that we do it, especially on Ekadashi for some reason, our senses are screaming, oh my God, I have to starve myself of what I normally eat, so let me satisfy the sense of my tongue and my belly with so many other things. So on any normal given day, we might have 3 preps. On Ekadashi, we have 7. And it's deep fried, and paneer, and fruit salad with extra cream, and all sorts of stuff like that. But that's not the purpose of Ekadashi. Our Gurudeva would make jokes about it. Oh, now you want like 10 kilos of charanamrita and 5 kilos of fruit salad with cream and this and that and so many things. You want more paneer, more this, more that. This is not the purpose of Ekadashi. Ekadashi is to make a way for us to dive more deeply into our devotional practices. That doesn't mean devotion for my senses. It means devotion for Krishna. Instead of using Krishna to satisfy my senses, I should turn my senses toward the satisfaction of Krishna. So trying to enjoy more prasadam in a greater variety, the illusion is that I'm serving Krishna by this, but actually we're trying to use Krishna in our service. Krishna consciousness means how to be utilized in the service of Krishna. Instead of using Krishna to serve my senses, I should use these senses for serving the transcendental senses of Krishna. So by limiting our intake of material enjoyment, then the subtle body begins to starve. We are starving our subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. We are starving that of what it wants. And instead of the mundane thing, means enjoyment of all different varieties that it normally wants, we're putting Krishna in its place. Harinam, Sadhu Sangha, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Parikrama, Thakur Seva, all the different varieties and processes of bhakti. And we increase that for the pleasure of Krishna. Then Madhavatiti Ekadashi is Bhakti Janani. Then the awakening of bhakti will increase in our hearts. Thousands of times the benefit will come, and we will feel that difference. Most of the time, even for many years, so many times I've heard it, I've seen it, and I've even felt it at times. Oh my God, Ekadashi's coming. Oh, I don't know if I can do another day of potatoes. All right, let's make it French fries with a dip. Then we can handle it. But this is not the right mood. Our Gurudev, he fasted even nirjala, without water, for so many years. Only when he was much, much elder, when his doctor ordered him, you have to take a little something, then he would take something. Some water and very little. Our Guru Varga have explained that if one starts developing headaches and becomes lethargic and can't do anything, can't chant, can't think, and just falls asleep, this is also not the purpose of Ekadashi. So take enough so that at least you can function. And then whatever energy you have, with that energy, utilize that in the service of Krishna. In Nam Seva, Shastra Seva, Vaishnava Seva, Dham Seva, Thakur Seva, and all different kinds of service. Then we can obtain the result that Krishna wants to give us through his manifestation, this mercy manifestation of Ekadashi. So Madhavatiti Bhakti Janani Madhavatiti Ekadashi Ki Jai. I've just seen here there's a comment. Krishna Dasi. Can I dovetail the concept of intermittent fasting, really doing a simple fruits and roots diet on those days, without dairy and sugar, with the understanding of the health benefits of Ekadashi, according to Ayurveda? My understanding of your question is, can I do it on any other day? Or do you mean on Ekadashi day? If we're doing it for any other reason than for Krishna Bhakti, then the result will not necessarily be Krishna Bhakti. That's the speciality of Krishna. Krishna does not force us. He gives us so many opportunities, but if we use our energy or that opportunity for any other purpose other than for serving Krishna, then we are misusing it in terms of something else. So if we're thinking about it in terms of, yes, this is good for my health, it will be good for your health, and you can become very healthy as a result. So doing pranayama, breathing, and fasting with an Ayurvedic diet, then it can be good for your body. And something slight is there, something slight. But instead of meditating on that thing, automatically, that's a speciality of our process, the process given by Mahaprabhu, is that without thinking about the material benefit, look at what Mahaprabhu has done. The process of Krishna Bhakti. Automatically, when you're doing kirtan, then dancing comes. You get so much cardiovascular exercise, but you don't have to think about it. And because you're dancing and singing, natural happiness comes. You can say endorphins are floating and whatever. This is not the purpose, but it still happens. Happiness comes as a result. When you're honoring Mahaprasad with so many Vaishnavas, natural happiness comes. And because it is offered to Krishna also, it is so nourishing and beneficial. When we're doing japa, then it is calming the mind. When we're chanting our mantras, we have to be quiet for 30 minutes, 10 minutes at a time, 3 times a day. My God. The mind doesn't maybe like it, but at that time, we have to calm the mind and focus the mind. That's also beneficial. After arti, then dandavat pranam or obeisances, then you're doing a stretch. So all of these things come naturally and automatically when one is doing the activities of bhakti. But one thing we should try to really clarify for ourselves is that the activities of bhakti means what is for Krishna, for his happiness and pleasure. If we consider all of these other things, or if maybe we need it as a motivation, and maybe I look at myself, I don't even have desire for bhakti, but I can do it for my own health. Okay, then from that perspective, from that point, we may be able to make some forward progress. I'm going to do it for my health, or for my own senses. We've seen that our Srila Prabhupada also attracted so many, first through the medium of their senses, right? Feeding them so much prasadam that they couldn't even think of going anywhere else. And then engaging all of that energy which came as a result in service. Keeping gulab jamuns at the back of the temple. He wanted that so that the last thing that someone remembers as they're leaving is that sweetness and that they would want to return. So, in the beginning, it may be like that we need to motivate ourselves through any of our own desire. But gradually, we need to dovetail that. It needs to adjust at one point or another in our spiritual sojourn from the self-serving tendency or the self-serving motivation. The motivation needs to switch to what is pleasing for Krishna, what is pleasing to Gurudev, what is pleasing to the Vaishnavas, what is for their happiness, what is for their benefit. And then it will be selfless service. But in the beginning, it might be necessary even. Okay, I can do it for my health. And then we can meditate also, okay, I'm doing it for my health. Maybe we can even think, oh, I'm doing it because my Gurudev told me to do it. And that's a good reason, but it's not the main reason. Just because my Gurudev told me, it's not the main reason. Because still I'm not really putting my heart into it. I'm just doing it because he told me. But still, there's something there. Something is there. Then this might help to increase my relationship with my Gurudev. You have instructed me to do it. I can do it for you. In this connection, there was 1996. There was a very old man. I think he was in his 90s that our Gurudev met when he went to America. And that man was sitting there listening to Gurudev. He wasn't a devotee. Well, not a Krishna devotee. But he had faith in angels, and maybe he had a Christian background. And he was looking at our Gurudev saying, I know who you are. You can't cheat me. I know who you are. You're an angel. You can't cheat me. And he was asking him, can I kiss your feet? Can I kiss your feet? I know you're an angel. And Gurudev was like, no, 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 no. You're my senior. You're like my father. Our Gurudev was, I think that was 96. So he was about 70, maybe 75 at the time. And this person was about 90. So he was like, you're like my father. No, 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 no. And this person was like, no, you can't cheat me. You can't cheat me. And so after this interaction, our Gurudev, he asked this man, can you do, I would like you to chant Mahamantra, Hare Krishna. And the old man was like, I'm too old to introduce new things into my life. You know, it's difficult to adjust when you've developed for so many years a certain habit in a certain way. And then our Gurudev said to him, but for me, can you do? First thing, once in the morning, chant one Mahamantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and once in the evening before you go to bed. For me, can you do it? And that man said, for you, I can do it. For you. So even if that's our one thing, still how much bhakti sukriti can come from it. For that man, it was only 2 mantras a day, but with relationship to an angel. On the request of that angel, for you, I can do it. And so, if we're following Ekadashi because, okay, my Gurudev told me to do it, so for him, I'll do it. It's not for me, it's not necessarily for bhakti, but just because he requested me, and I have some feeling of indebtedness to him for everything he's given, so for him, I will do it. Then gradually, bhakti will increase from that. Gradually, bhakti will increase from that mood. That, okay, for my Gurudev, I'm doing it. If we need something to help motivate ourselves, okay, this is good for my health. This is good for my digestion, to rest it for 1 day every 2 weeks, to give my digestion a break from having to digest grains, which is very difficult on my system. It's very good for my health. Yes, we can trick ourselves into doing it this way, and then apply that to bhakti. Like Raghunath Das Goswami is trying to trick his mind. Oh, my dear brother mind. He's telling him, you are so great. You are so wonderful. You are so powerful. I'm so weak. You're like my dear brother. So I'm taking your 2 feet in my hands. I'm grabbing your 2 feet and I'm begging you to help me. To help me what? To remember Guru. To remember the the Vaishnavas, to remember the Brahmins and the Brajbasis. Guru Goshthe Goshtaye Sujane Bhusuragane Swamantre Shri Namni Vrajanam Yumadvandva Sharane Sada Dhammam Hitva Kururitim Apurvam Titaram Aye Svantar Bratas Chatubhir Abhiyache Dritapada. Did it just pause? Hare Krishna. Okay. So starting with whatever we need, any little thing. Like for some it may be necessary. I don't have attraction to hearing Harikatha. Well, what can I do? Then I should try to apply myself in other limbs of bhakti, so much so that I develop the sukriti, to the spiritual merit, to be able to have attraction to hearing Harikatha. Yes, but I see that. So not on any day, but on Ekadashi. Yes. So even then, if we're just applying it on Ekadashi, okay, we can trick ourselves. We can trick our minds. Okay, I need more motivation to do this. So then, all right, I'll do it for my health. And as you're following it for your health, then you've already opened the door. So let that door crack, open up, give an inch, and then take a mile for bhakti. Run very fast on the path of bhakti. Okay, now that I've tricked my mind into allowing me to observe this day, now let me apply more energy toward Krishna. Let me chant a little bit more. Let me read a little bit more. Let me remember a little bit more. Let me associate with Vaishnavas a little more. Let me avoid those things which are not really favorable for me at this time. Let me avoid things that distract my mind from Krishna. Let me engage my senses a little bit more in Krishna bhakti. So somehow we have to discover a way, by hook or crook or by trick, somehow, yes, apply it, one way or another. If that's what I have to do, then that's what I have to do for now. And gradually over time, when we begin to see the spiritual results, like our Gurudev said about Govardhan Parikrama, most of the people who are doing it are not doing it for bhakti. They understand, according to scripture, that Giriraj will fulfill all of their desires. So they're doing it for health, for wealth, for money, for beautiful children, and a beautiful husband and a beautiful wife, and for a big mansion. They build them with the Giriraj Shilas, all of these. You see the layers they build up, 7-story mansions and everything. And our Gurudev explained that gradually, over time, those people that are coming who are utilizing the transcendental substance to fulfill their material desires, gradually they'll begin to utilize it more and more, and then they'll begin to realize, wait a second, there's something more to this. The scriptures say something more. It's not just for fulfilling material desires, but also the spiritual desire will be fulfilled. So there he's saying that your faith will increase gradually more and more. But if we come into the association of pure Vaishnavas, then we might be able to bypass that very slow process of gradual faith building and actually develop very quickly under their guidance by their moods. Whatever association we're in, that mood can come to us, and then we can run very quickly on the path of bhakti or devotion to Krishna. So I appreciate that question and that idea, because sometimes it is difficult to motivate ourselves for anything. So if I want to, if I feel like going to a karaoke club, instead I can go to the temple and I can grab a mic and I can sing there, do kirtan instead. So that same feeling that we might have for attraction toward material things in this world, Kapila Dev says, if we apply it toward bhakti, toward Vaishnavas, toward devotion, it opens wide the doors to liberation. That same attraction that we have to the things of this world. So somehow we have to dovetail it. Dovetail it all. Maybe we have the nature to gossip. We love gossip. So instead of gossiping about all sorts of mundane subjects, we can gossip about Krishna. This is called dovetailing. Srila Prabhupada used that word a lot. Dovetail our material self-serving tendencies into the tendency to serve Krishna. So this idea which you mentioned, yes, I like it. Can I utilize something, which is, because it's difficult for me, but utilize something else as a motivation? Whatever it is, if it can be favorable, anukulyasya sankalpa, okay, I might feel lack of motivation, I might feel weakness in my heart. What can I do to increase that motivation? And I'm going to give an example about myself. Many years ago, we were in a situation where I was feeling spiritually weak, and we weren't able to travel at the time, and I did not have this same, I guess I did have this facility to do these programs online at the time, but I was not doing that. I didn't really know how to do it then. But I was feeling quite weak. And I thought, what can I do to help myself? Because my tendency would be to want to absorb my mind in music of this world, in visuals of this world, in all kinds of mundane things, and to just be very stagnant spiritually. And I was thinking, I need to do something to help myself. So I would actually make a 1-hour drive from where we were staying all the way up into the mountains to the community in New Badger, California. And I would go up there, and then they would ask me to do kirtan and to give a class. And for that, I had to be a little bit aware and a little prepared, so I had to utilize more of my energy. And I started staying for 2 or 3 days at a time. I would go up Friday and go back down the mountain on Monday morning or Sunday afternoon after the program. And so I placed myself into a situation where I was, you could say in essence, bound to or forced to engage my energy in things that were favorable for Krishna Bhakti, even though I might have actually preferred to not do that, but I thought this is not good for me. I need to motivate myself somehow. So get myself out of the house, get myself into the car. I spent a lot of money on petrol, on gas, going up and down the mountain, and somehow donations came in gradually, but at least somehow I got myself out, got myself up the mountain, and there, being in the association of the devotees, I was put into a situation where I wouldn't speak about nonsense things. I would have to speak about Guru and Krishna, and they would engage me in kirtan and speaking about Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, Krishna. And so sometimes it's necessary to somehow move ourselves. So in this case, I appreciate what you said, Krishna Dasi, that maybe it's difficult for me, so I'm going to do it for this reason, and then from that, dovetail it into bhakti. So Madhav Titi Ekadashi ki jai. Now we will continue going beyond Vaikuntha, which is beautiful treasure manifesting from the heart of our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. This is one of his commentaries on the beautiful manifestation from the heart of Sanatan Goswami, known as Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which our Srila Prabhupada said is the foundation for all of the works of our Acharyas, our Goswamis. And that book, Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, is actually in 2 parts. One part is telling about the progression, the depth or the greatness of the different levels of devotees. And Rupa Goswami says in Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshashti chet pranatibhishcha vajantamisham shushrushaya vajanavigyamananyamanya nindadishunyam hridamitsita sangalabhya. That one should honor Vaishnavas or devotees according to their level or depth of bhakti. So we see Narada Muni is progressing, going from place to place and glorifying the different Vaishnavas. And the different Vaishnavas are saying, no, I'm not on that level that you're claiming I'm on. Really, this one is a greater devotee. Really, this is the greatest. And so he goes on a progression, seeing the greatness of the levels of the devotees. The Pandavas are there, Hanuman is there, Maharaja Ambarish is there, Prahlad is there, so many personalities, and it's a very interesting progression. The other part is the progression of Gop Kumar. And Gop Kumar is eternally, inherently a cowherd boy, friend of Krishna in Vrindavan. That is his nature, his eternal, essential, intrinsic, inherent nature of his Atma. And so he's progressing, going through so many, because he's received a mantra from his Gurudev. He received a mantra. What was that? Gopal mantra, starting with Kling Krishnaya. So he's received Gopal mantra, but he has not received any particular instruction because his Gurudev disappeared as soon as he gave him that mantra. So he was chanting that mantra faithfully, but he didn't have a goal set. As he was chanting that mantra, he was progressing and moving. He became the king in Jagannath Puri. Then he became Lord Brahma. I think he was going toward Rudra. He went to the Brahma Jyoti. And then from there, he went to Vaikuntha. And from there, he had to go beyond that to Ayodhya, Dwaraka, and gradually he makes his way back to Homa Vrindavan, and then from here to Aprakat, Transcendental Vrindavan, which is his perfection. So it is showing really why we need to have a goal established so we don't waste so much time to get there. If we don't have a goal established, then we will spend millions and millions and millions of years slowly moving. So this also applies to Ekadashi. We can follow it in a general way, or we can follow it with a goal. If you follow Ekadashi with a goal, Ekadashi will supercharge you and your progression toward your goal. If you don't follow Ekadashi with a goal, then it could become, as our Gurudev said, reward-seeking activity. The result might be that our material desires are fulfilled. So there should always be the goal of loving service to Krishna, for pleasing Krishna, for his happiness and benefit. In every activity of bhakti that we do, that should be at its center. Then it can be considered bhakti or devotion. Otherwise, it might be something else. So this commentary by our Gurudev is very beautiful, very sweet, full of bhav and so much ras, so many sweet kathas. So before entering into this transcendental literature, we will pray to the lotus feet of our Gurudev and Sri Sanatan Goswamipada in the verse by Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Vairaga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnar Apayana Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripambudirya Paradukuduki Sanatanaspam Prabhum Ashrayami. Begging in the dust of their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods which are present within these pages manifest within our hearts. Oh, thank you. Usually I see it the other way around. What you spoke made me feel hopeless, but here I'm saying makes me feel less hopeless and less helpless. This is our Gurudev would always endeavor to make us feel hopeful. He would always say, don't be hopeless. Don't be hopeless. Be strong. So I'm very happy to see that. Thank you for sharing. Nothing is impossible for Krishna. That's why Rupa Goswami states in that bhajan, Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande, I have no bhakti for you, not even a sesame seed's worth of bhakti. And yet, because you have the power to make the impossible possible, please allow my mind, which is like a bumblebee, always go to your lotus feet, which are like beautiful, fragrant, reddish lotus flowers. So he's actually praying for what he believes or feels is the impossible, but because he knows that the Supreme Lord can make the impossible possible, he is daring to pray for that. And so that should be also for us an endless source of hope. Hope is our best friend. Hope is our greatest asset and greatest treasure. Hope is intricately linked with this devotional greed. Ashabandha Samutkanta Namagane Siddharuchi. Ashabandha means firm hope, with eagerness, that even if I'm not qualified still, right? This is the sign of greed. I have no qualification, and yet still I want that thing. Because it is our inherent nature, it is really our birthright, and we are made to love and serve Krishna. Every jiva is made to do such a thing. We are all inherently, intrinsically eternal servants of Krishna. And it cannot ever be otherwise. And not only that, but we were born from nectar, we are made of nectar, and we are made to taste only nectar. We shouldn't be satisfied with anything but nectar. That should also be a source of hope, because, yes, it exists and it is possible for us. So our scriptures tell us this Asha Bandha, this must be there. A firm hope, burning hope, must always be there. And this is very, very attractive to Krishna. And then on top of that, like Gurudev told, when Sudevi asked, she told the other day, is Krishna one-pointed to Srimati Radhika? And our Gurudev made that face, oh, he wants to be, but he cannot. And then Gurudev said, not even one jiva can he give up. He can't neglect even one jiva, which means you can't. Why is he with us constantly? He's simply waiting for us day after day after day, year after year, for millions and trillions and forever. And we're trying to enjoy this material world. He's simply waiting for us to turn and look in his direction. Just that. And he's not giving up on us, no matter what. This, for us, is such a beautiful sign of hope. That he wants to be one-pointed to her, but he cannot. He cannot even neglect one jiva. He's waiting for us. He wants that specific flavor of love that we each carry, which is unique and different from anyone else's flavor of love. Because he wants to taste every particle of love and every flavor of love. So now we are continuing with Chapter 8, the glories of Yogamaya. Narad Rishi has explained to Gopkumar that just as Bhagavan, being one, assumes different incarnations, his internal potency is also one, but comes in different forms. So there's one supreme absolute truth that is known as Advai Gyan Paratattva, the supreme non-dual absolute truth. And this is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam in one of the 4 nutshell verses. Nutshell means essential verses, from which the rest of Bhagavatam manifested. That one is saying, before everything, only I exist. Only I existed. Now only I exist. And after everything disappears, only I will exist. So this is the meaning of Advai Gyan Paratattva, the supreme, non-dual, absolute truth. And yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sanatan Goswami, this supreme, non-dual, absolute truth has a form and is a person. And that person is known as Brajendra Nandan, Vrindavan's son of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna. That is the form, the intrinsic, essential form of the absolute truth. Mahaprabhu says, and you can look up the shlok, Krishner Svarup Vichar Shuno Sanatan Advai Gyan Tattva Braje Brajendra Nandan. And from that Krishna, he is the Purna Shaktiman, the complete possessor of all potencies. He is the original. And from him manifests the complete, full Shakti, that is Srimati Radhika. Radha Purna Shakti, she's the complete Shakti. Krishna Purna Shaktiman, he's the complete possessor or manifester of all Shaktis. And between these two transcendental personalities, there's no difference. And then she manifests herself unlimitedly. And from there, more manifestations unlimitedly, all ultimately for the pleasure of Krishna, for his happiness, for his pleasure, and for his benefit. So here, just as he assumes many incarnations, although he is one, his internal potency is also one, but comes in different forms. Previously, Srila Gurudev explained that the original internal potency is actually Srimati Radhika, but we also know her as Yogamaya. Radhika is the highest conception of the internal potency of Krishna. According to her different activities, she is known by different names. In different forms, this same potency is present in Dwarka, in Vaikuntha, with the various incarnations of Narayan, and with the demigods. So, Bhaktivedanta Thakur has written this prayer, and in the prayer, I think it's Radha Bhajane Jadi, there, Uma, Rama, Satya, Shachi, Chandra, Rukmini, Radha, Avatar, Sabe, Aham Nayavani. All of the revealed scriptures tell that all of these personalities are ultimately manifestations of the original Shakti, Srimati Radhika. Radha, Avatar, Sabe. All are the avatar of Radhika. Who? Uma. That is the consort of Lord Shiva. Rama. That is the consort of Narayan. Rama is another name for Lakshmi. One time there were some devotees who were chanting Hare Rama, like that, and Gurudev was like, that is Lakshmi. Rama, it's Rama. Rama is different than Rama. So Rama means Lakshmi. And also with the demigods. So Shachi, this is the wife of Indra. Uma, Rama, Satya, Shachi, Chandra, Rukmini, this is in Dwarka. Even Chandravali in Vrindavan is a manifestation of Srimati Radhika. Right? Ananya Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Vista Virya Eva Nijarupataya Kalavi. Nijarupataya Kalavi. From her own form, all of these different moods are manifesting. And they've taken form. Why? For the pleasure of Krishna. Mahukanta Vinanahe Raser Ulas. Without so many different manifestations, Krishna's tasting of rasa cannot attain its highest exaltation. So here, it is written in some places that devotees don't desire the mercy of the Lakshmi, who is the goddess of opulence or Aishwarya. We should understand that this does not refer to Mahalakshmi of Narayan in the spiritual world. That Lakshmi is not chanchala, restless, but she is steady and permanent, and in that form she is perpetually serving Narayan. So apparently there's a Lakshmi of this world, whom, it's like a Chaya Lakshmi or even Maya Lakshmi. It's funny. Who was named Maya Lakshmi? I just told that to Sudevi the other day. She said, why would someone call someone Maya Lakshmi? But there's a Maya Lakshmi. Lakshmi comes to us in the form of money, and if we utilize that Lakshmi for Mayic things, for our material enjoyment, then that is not the same as Srimad Narayan's Lakshmi. The Lakshmi of this world is known as Chanchala Lakshmi, or restless Lakshmi. Restless because she's moving from hand to hand, and everyone is trying to utilize and exploit her for their own pleasure. But the Lakshmi of Narayan, Mahalakshmi, she's perpetually serving Srimad Narayan. So we should understand that there is a difference in these Lakshmis. But most people who are worshipping Lakshmi, they're worshipping that Lakshmi who will provide all of my material wealth for my enjoyment. So they're not worshipping Mahalakshmi, they're worshipping Chanchala Lakshmi. Chanchala Lakshmi was born from the churning of the milk ocean. So previously when our Gurudev was speaking about this is when he spoke about this Chanchala Lakshmi. This Lakshmi is the goddess who embodies all money and wealth, and devotees don't desire her mercy. Devotees don't desire her mercy. I remember our Gurudev saying, Lakshmi should stay very far away. Anyone who's constantly worried for money and thinking about money, you should also stay very far away, he said. Anyone who's always worried about meditating on money, thinking about this and that. And he's saying, oh, we will tell Lakshmi, you should stay far away. This is not the Lakshmi who is constantly serving Narayan, but Chanchala Lakshmi. Devotees don't desire her mercy in the form of opulence, wealth, and so many other things.
Isn't that also because Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe, it's not?
Yes. Why? Because there's no need to worry about these things independently and separately from the path of bhakti. Why? Even if we have come to the very first part of bhakti, which is known as Shraddha. Shraddha is defined how? Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudrida Nishchoy Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. That simply by doing Krishna Bhakti, by engaging oneself in the process of devotion to Krishna, Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. All other obligations are naturally and automatically taken care of. And how is this proven? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paryupasate Tesham Nitya Bhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Baham Yaham. For one who surrenders one pointed unto me, I personally will carry what they lack and I will preserve what they have. So the devotee doesn't need to worry about money, making money, thinking about how to increase their bank account or anything like that. Krishna will automatically provide. They don't have to think about it. If they're actually following properly, if they are surrendered to Sri Guru, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna, and serving, they don't have to worry about any of these things. Automatically, Lakshmi will be coming. Please engage me in your service. Automatically, even the mystic cities, mystic powers, everything will come to serve that person who's completely dedicated themselves to the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord wants to somehow reciprocate, and everything will be waiting to serve the pure devotee of the Lord. So there's no need for them to worry about money or anything. Our Srila Prabhupada wasn't worried for money. He brought 42 rupees from India to America. What could you do with 42 rupees? Nothing. He wasn't worried for money, but money came, a lot of it. And what did he do with all of it? He used it to serve Krishna, to bring Krishna to the whole world, to build so many temples and farm communities, to print millions of books. He used it for so many spiritual purposes. So the money was coming, immediately utilize that money in the service of Krishna. Lakshmi is meant to be utilized in the service of Narayan. The moment we try to use Lakshmi for our own material enjoyment, then Srila Prabhupada writes, this is Ravan mentality, that I want to utilize Sita in my own service. So anything, when you see the pure devotees, whenever any Lakshmi comes to them, they don't strive for Lakshmi, they don't try for Lakshmi. Lakshmi comes and immediately they utilize that Lakshmi in the service of Narayan, or in the service of Krishna. And by that, Lakshmi becomes so happy that she begins to flow even more. Oh, you're utilizing me in the service of Krishna. More and more will come. So they don't have any need to worry about these things, to worship her for themselves. Automatically, everything is coming. Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Everything is automatically taken care of for them. As Srila Govinda Maharaj would say, for that person who's engaging in the process of bhakti, there is nothing else to worry about. Nothing to do, Baba, nothing to do, he would say. So here, this Lakshmi is the goddess who embodies all money and wealth, and devotees don't desire her mercy. Even if she wants to serve devotees and fulfill their desires, they simply offer obeisance to her and leave. Wow. Most of us cannot say that, but for those who are on that level, they can say that. Most of us would be greedy for a little bit. Anything, oh, how do you get money? I want money, I need money. But for the pure devotees, Gurudeva is saying they offer pranam, and they don't entertain, they don't desire, they don't, right? We see it so many times in all of these verses. I don't desire, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, na dhanam, I don't desire wealth. Na janam, I don't desire followers. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatat bhaktir hoitiki tvaye. I don't want all of these other things which come very easily, even through the process of bhakti. Right? Easily, kanaka kamani pratishta, wealth, sense gratification, name, fame, position, power, all sorts of things can come to one who is following the process of bhakti. He says, I don't want any of these things. Not dhanam, not janam, not sundarim kavitam, va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani. What do I desire? That birth after birth, bhavatar bhaktir ahaitiki tvaye. May I have causeless, transcendental love and affection for you, my Lord. Only that. He's praying for that. So they simply offer obeisances to her and leave. What to speak of older devotees? Even new devotees are more dear to her, are more dear than her to Bhagavan. So this is talking about Chanchala Lakshmi. What to speak of older devotees? Even new devotees are more dear than her to Bhagavan. Now we've heard this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, that I do not reside in Vaikuntha, I do not reside in the hearts of the yogis. Where do I reside? Where my devotees are always making a festival of Harikatha. Mad Bhakta Yatra Gayanti. I reside in that place where my devotees are always glorifying me. He's telling this to Narada Muni. So here, Krishna said in Srimad Bhagavatam 11, 14, 15, Nattata me priyatama atmayonir na sankara shankara nacha sankarshano nashrir nacha sankarshano nashrir naivatma chayata bhavan. My dear Uddhava, neither Brahma, Shankar, Sankarshan, the goddess of fortune Lakshmi, nor even my own self are as dear to me as you are. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhava is known as Haridas. There are 3 Haridasas mentioned in Shastra, in Srimad Bhagavatam. One is Yudhishthira Maharaj, one is Uddhav, and the other is Giriraj Maharaj. But the gopis say, Antai Madhir Abala Haridasa Varya. He is the best of the Haridasas, Giriraj. But here Krishna is saying that you are dearer to me than my own self. You are dearer to me, you, my devotee, are dearer to me than Lakshmi, Shri, than Shankar, Brahma, or Sankarshan. So Gurudev is saying that Krishna has spoken this verse in relation to Chanchala Lakshmi. That the goddess of fortune Lakshmi, that you are dearer to me than you are to her, this Chanchala Lakshmi. If the Lakshmi who is near Narayan, serving him in Vaikuntha, were to hear this verse, what would she do? Therefore, don't take this verse to be in relation to her. What have we seen in the pastimes of Jagannath Dev? There's a festival known as Her Panchami. When Jagannath, means Krishna of Dwarka, returns or goes back to Vrindavan on the chariot of the hearts of the gopis, being pulled by the ropes of their love to Gundicha temple, which represents Vrindavan. Who goes there dressed in all of her regalia, with all of her servants? Fully dressed up. He's taking too long at the doctor's. He's taking too long on vacation. What's going on? She goes there with all of her associates and starts beating everyone. This is you can read the history in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is a festival known as Her Panchami. She also gets very, what's the word? Transcendentally jealous, apparently. So Gurudev is saying, what would happen if she heard this verse? It's not in relation to her. This can only be said for the Lakshmi who appeared as the daughter of Bhrigu Muni. Only a Vaishnava who has attentively heard from the Guru Parampara will understand statements like these from the scriptures. Others will certainly misunderstand. So Lakshmi is not just one either. Like when we say Shiva, it's not just one idea, there's many different ideas. So Lakshmi, there's Lakshmi Narayan, Sarva Lakshmi Mayi, or the original Lakshmi from whom all other Lakshmis manifest, is known as Srimati Radhika. Then there's this Chanchala Lakshmi, the daughter of Bhrigu Muni, the Chanchala Lakshmi which manifested from the milk ocean. So the different forms or aspects of Lakshmi. Some may say that in this verse, Lakshmi is another name of Radhika, but that would mean that another devotee would be greater than Radhika. So Gurudev is saying here that people should be careful about misunderstanding, because sometimes, well, we know that Radhika is known as Shri, right? We go in Varshana to Shri Ji Mandir. But Gurudev is saying here that this verse cannot be referring to Srimati Radhika, although here Krishna is saying, Nacha Sankarshano Nashir. But how could he be relaying this to Uddhav when later he sends Uddhav to Vrindavan to enter into the university of the gopis, and especially to see the greatness of the love of Srimati Radhika to Krishna, so much so that Uddhav feels completely bereft of any love and affection for Krishna, and he feels that all of the knowledge and everything that he has is completely useless. Krishna is sending him there to also learn from them. So here, if someone thinks that in this verse, Lakshmi refers to Srimati Radhika, then that would mean that another devotee would be greater than Radhika. It would mean that Uddhav would be a greater devotee than her. Uddhav desires to take the dust of the gopis' feet on his head. Ashamaho charanarenu jushamahangsham. Vande nanda braje strinam padarenu abhikshnasham. He's praying that may even one particle of dust from the feet of any particular gopi. A particular gopi kaun hai? Who is that particular gopi? Srimati Radhika. May even a particle of dust from her lotus feet come on my head. Therefore he desires to take birth as grass or shrubs in Vrindavan, so that it may be that even one particle of dust from her lotus feet will come onto his head. So he desires to take the dust of the gopis' feet on his head. So to think that anyone is greater than Radhika, the very origin of all goddesses of fortune, would certainly be erroneous. Even Krishna is said to be the guru of everyone. Vande Krishnam Jagat Gurum. He's the master of the universe, everything. Vande Krishna Jagat Gurum. Jagannath. He's the Lord of everything. And yet, Krishna himself is saying, Radhika Premier Guru Ami Shishyanata. Radhika is my guru of prem, and I am simply her dancing pupil. And she makes me dance in various novel ways. But Krishna is admitting this about her. So Gurudev is telling us to be careful, to not apply this verse towards Srimati Radhika, otherwise it would be wrong. It would certainly be erroneous. In order to understand which Lakshmi has been referred to in this verse requires some careful consideration. We must try to properly understand our Siddhanta, and that can only be done by remaining in the association of Vaishnavas. If we're not in the association of Vaishnavas, then it's very easy to misunderstand, misconstrue, or misinterpret something. That's why our Vaishnavacharyas have written so many commentaries. But even then, because we are conditioned souls, we have the tendency to make mistakes, imperfect senses, to come under illusion, and to also cheat others. So we may make some mistake. So it is essential that we come under the guidance of Vaishnavas, to hear from them, to learn from them. If we want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the heart of Krishna, then how can we understand that heart? Only by undivided love and devotion can we understand Krishna as he is. So in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada makes it very, very clear that so many different translations and commentaries have been made on Bhagavad Gita, but most cannot be considered bona fide. Why? Because who has written them? Maybe scholars, Sanskrit scholars. So many persons are giving their own commentary based on their mental speculation. But what is their devotion? Do they have undivided love and affection for the Lord? Then how can they understand or know Him in truth? And how can they present the proper meaning or the proper commentary of Bhagavad Gita? What does He mean by this? What is He saying here? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells, if you want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam properly, which is non-different from the heart of Krishna or Srimati Radhika, then how can you understand Bhagavatam properly? Jaha Bhagavata Param Vaishnavirasthane. Only in the association of Vaishnavas, under their guidance, can you properly understand and read Srimad Bhagavatam. For me, it was quite surprising, actually, because when I was growing up, I always heard Bhagavad Gita is necessary as our foundation, and then Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate study. And then I heard from my Gurudev. He didn't deny that, but he did say, you won't be able to understand Bhagavatam properly without the outline given by Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Meaning, if you have not heard or read or studied or learned from someone who knows Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will never understand Bhagavatam properly. And that was quite surprising to me. I was like, wait a second. So if I read through Bhagavatam on my own, but I don't have the foundation of Chaitanya Charitamrita, then I won't understand it properly. Chaitanya Charitamrita is very, very clear on this point. First, association with devotees. Jaha Bhagavata Para Vaishnavarasthane. They will give us the vision by which we can understand and see Bhagavatam properly. So in all of our scriptures, in all places, everywhere, it is said that the association of the pure devotees of Krishna is the most essential thing. Association with the devotees of Krishna is the place where bhakti is born. Right? Krishna bhakti janma mool hoy sadhu sangha. The root cause of the birth of Krishna bhakti in the heart, this is the association of the pure devotees of Krishna. And even after the attainment of perfection, Krishna prema, still the most essential thing is the association of the pure devotees of Krishna. This association with and the mercy of the pure devotees of Krishna is so essential and so attractive that Krishna himself is desiring this association. Krishna is also desiring it. He wants that. Or to speak of that, he is coming in the form of Mahaprabhu, in the mood of his own devotee, wanting to experience what it is like to taste, what it's like to love Krishna. So he's taking shelter of the moods of Srimati Radhika. So Krishna himself says, anyone who claims they're my devotee, they're not really my devotee. But the devotee of my devotee, he is my real devotee. So in our process, in our path of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, it's coming from Srimati Radhika. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he said, the devotees of Vishnu are known as Vaishnavas. The devotees of Krishna are known as Karshnas. And the devotees of Srimati Radhika, who is Gaurangi or Gauri, they are known as Gauriyas. So Gauriya Vaishnava. It's coming from this line, through Srimati Radhika. So, very interestingly, in our process, in our path, what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? I am not the Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. I am not the Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha or Sannyas. My only identity, Kintu Pradyan Nikila Pramananda Purnamritabhe, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Das, Anudasaha, is that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Gopi Bhartu. Which Krishna? The beloved of the gopis. This Krishna. So this mood of being the servant of the servant of the servant, this is prominent through our lineage. Not that I am going directly to Krishna, but the devotee of the devotee of the devotee of Krishna. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Pad Guru Varga ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So we will continue tomorrow. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय, शशिनंदन गौर हरि की जय, राधा विनो बिहारी जू की जय, राधा रमन जू की जय, गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, माधव तिथि एकादशी की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Govindatam Dharmadhave Govindatam Dharmadhave Guru Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe Shri Vrindavan Hari Lal Ki Jai 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 Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Gaura Premanande Hare Hare Bol. So thank you all very much for being with us today and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, and for engaging us in our Guru Seva, for which we are indebted. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Radhe Radhe.
Dandavat Pranam, dear
Radha Vinodhi Hare
Vaishnavas.
Ju ki.
Jai.
Shachinandan Gaur Hari
Ki
ki
jai.
jai.